everybody, Bethany here. Welcome to my channel. Today I am taking a break from all of the other projects I have going on because I got this cute stamp and die set from Not Too Shabby Shop in the mail, and somehow it disappeared under a pile of things. And so I was looking for one thing, landed on it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was waiting to play with these. So I'm going to play and ignore the fact that I have probably 15,000 other things to do. This is going to be my me time for today. Two of my three children are sleeping right now, but I just thought these little popsicles were just so stinking cute. I mean, how could you not love these? Especially when you have littles and it's summer and yeah, all the good things. So I am going to just take a bunch of these and I'm going to cut them out. And then we're going to color. And I'm going to do something a little unconventional. I'm going to actually use a colored. Instead of black, I'm going to use this adorable Peacock feathers. It's a Distress Oxide, but I'm also going to emboss it as well. I am in the playful, fun, let's try new things mode lately, and so I'm just trying to see different ways I can stretch my materials so that they're interesting, fun, and seem new without having to go out and buy 15 other things. This month I am on a no spend. The only thing that I determined that I could still spend were the subscriptions I had to various places that I had already set up and set aside to purchase from. But otherwise, everything else is on hold for the rest of the month, which is slightly painful because certain people have come out with some amazing new products, and I'm like, I really want it. I want it so bad, but you have to do what you have to do. And it's going to be less painful the further the month goes on, I'm sure. I mean, we're to the lower third of the month, I believe. Just had to take care of some personal things all at once, and that became more important than spending money on crafty things, which is okay. Has to be done. Adulting is never an easy decision, but it's necessary. All right, so now I have really good stamp on these. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set aside this, clean it later because I'm being lazy, aka I'm in my zone. And I'm going to grab the Maker Forte. It is Ocean Bubble. I believe it came out in May's Color Pop box. I want to say that's when it came out. So I think this color is super fun, very summery and shimmery. And you'll notice I didn't do an embossing powder or anything, mostly because I can't find it. I cleaned recently and I must have hit it too well. So I am just going to rely on the fact that I will be fussy cutting and coloring most of the rest of this. So when it comes to that, I don't mind being a little sloppy. Now I am going to go ahead and heat this up. So I am going to use my die cuts, and we're going to go ahead and cut these out. One thing I really love about the Not Too Shabby shop is that the coordinating dies, when you get them in the pack, they actually come on their own magnet sheet, which is an amazing thing for a company to do, because then you can keep all of your magnets for a specific set close together without having to worry about losing them, at least regularly, until maybe one of your children comes in, starts playing with it, and moves it to a different page. But that's a whole other story. As you can see here, I've got my trusty Cuddle Bug out, and I am going to run it through. Now I'm going to start playing with different colors. One tip I like to stick with is anytime I'm using a color that's not white and I can't really predict how it's going to look, I like to do little swatches, so-called, on the side to make sure that that's truly the color I'm looking for. And this one happens to be it. I want full coloring on these, so the lime green will just end up being the outline unless there's parts that I'm like, oh, let's skip the lime green. So I'm not going to play too much with blending in the actual colors. I think this is one of those stamps that you don't necessarily need a two-tone, three-tone coloring, because the cuteness factor is just as fun, I should say, without having to do all the extra work of blending back and forth. I really just want those colors to pop, look fun. And if I see any parts that I'm like, ooh, let's add a shadow here, okay. But for the most part, I'm just doing simple coloring in. The one thing I really like about using embossing powder for heavy colored projects is that the embossing powder kind of helps keep your marker inside the line, so to speak. You can also see when you've gone past the line or you have a little gap that you didn't fill in completely. I'm going to pick up purple for the little mouse. I think that's a mouse. So I'm going to outline the edge, this little, I'm going to call it a mouse. This cute little mouse guy. Mouse pop. I guess that's what it would be called. Little mouse pop. So I'm going to do just a line outside. And then we're going to find a complementary paler purple, a pale blue purple. That's still too dark. This one might work. Yes. All right. And then I'm just going to blend in and go against what I just said about not doing any fancy blending. So I'm going to leave the line there, but I'm going to blend directly into the line with my full color. Now you'll notice that you lose a little bit of the texture or the accents. So what I'm going to go back in is to just shadow lines on the items in the middle. So not a super thick line, just an accent line so that the white isn't hidden. And it's a design choice to use a white-based embossing powder versus a black embossing powder. You do end up risking losing details when you use a black embossing or a white embossing powder versus black. Black is a little, unless you're using very dark colors, black is very bold and is intended to highlight a little bit more by creating a shadow effect. Alright, and let's do these little cutesy mouse ears. And then creating that line effect again. And let's see. Oh, that's a perfect blue. It's kind of a tealish blue when it gets combined with this green. So I'm just going to do the same thing as the first one, just doing full fills. Although I am noticing that the further I get in, the closer the color is to the embossing powder. So I'm going to have to figure out a highlight color or a shadow color to bring back those little bits that might be lost in the details. And I think actually lighter is the way to go, not darker. So what's happening is by adding this lighter color, it's actually darkening the overall blend, but it's bringing back the highlight and shadow, or the highlight of the embossing powder by bringing a shadow in to the look. Let's find a blush, and I'm going to use this red, and I'm going to use the same red. It's actually deep red. I'm going to use the same one for all three. When you're using multiples of similar textures and colors, you want to find something that draws them in together that will help them look like they are supposed to be part of a set. So it's up to you to find the accent that will tie everything in together. That's how people build Recollections. They find that one thing that's going to unify across the board and make things look like they are meant to be together instead of each individual thing looking super cute but has nothing to do with the other. And since the green seems to turn the purples into more of a gray, I'm just going to stick with the color scheme of swapping between blue, which will make it more green, and the peachier colors. So this is a super light cream, but it gives it just that little bit hint of texture. It actually makes the neon a lot more neon in person. And then I'm just going to try to add some brown or tan for the little handles. Be semi-realistic about the fact that these are pops. And there we go. These are so cute in person. I hope you can see how adorable they got by coloring them in. Just a little bit different, each of them. But they all have a lot of texture and personality. All right, let's find a card to assemble. So I've gone ahead and cut out a couple of the sentiments. Anything is popsicle, which I think is cute, and happy summer, because these seem to be just very summery. I also went and found a scrap piece of paper in the similar peacock color to the Distress Oxide, and because I've run out of my regular glue, we're going to make it happen with the Zig Squeeze and Roll glue that I've had probably since I first started card making and scrapbooking. This is probably my third one since I started doing all of those things, but they're trusty and handy, and in a pinch you can get them at Michael's. So I don't mind using it, but I'm also not going to be popping these up because it's going to be going in the mail a long distance, and I want to make sure it gets there in one piece too. So as much as I am tempted to pop these up, I'm going to let the dimension of the coloring speak for itself. And rearrange where I want these little critters. The middle guy, the unicorn, should be centered and on top. And then the sentiments I will just put here. There we go. That's how I'll assemble it. So let's do it. Also, I forgot to mention that the card base is actually already patterned. These are my cheater card bases when I don't want to make a card base, and this one actually was just so cute that I couldn't add too much to it to change it, because I thought all of the diagonal lines broke up the coloring just a little bit. So here's the card. It's fun, it's summery, and it's super cute for any little kid. And there you go. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Check out my channel. Check out all the links down below. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining, and happy making. Bye.